Back in Grand Prix racing after a 3-race absence was the mercurial John Kocinski, who went so well in testing for Cagiva at Montmello that they added him to their lineup for the rest of the season, running 3 riders but only 5 bikes and increasing tension in the pits. Just pipping his erstwhile stablemate Kevin Schwantz for a front row start was John Kocinski, bringing Cagiva one of their best ever qualifying performances on his first outing. And that was despite a high-speed fall in the first session, which left the team with a wrecked bike and John Kocinski with luckily nothing worse than bruises. But the team seemed to think it was a fair exchange for third place on the grid. Here's another one with something to prove. John Kocinski just missed the rostrum in the Czech Republic and will be trying hard in Italy for Cagiva and hoping to extend his 2-race contract to the season's end. And once again, John Kocinski out-qualified Cagiva regulars Matt Mladin and Doug Chandler, and almost everyone else as well, putting the red machine on the front row for the 3rd time in 3 races and looking completely at home in the seat. And on the track as well. Kocinski revels in the challenges of a circuit like this, and it's no secret that he loves his home Grand Prix. And it's no secret either that he would dearly like to win it.
More involved than maybe what I am now. I have to remember where I'm at and what I'm doing. And I remember last year, maybe the emotion got too much and I fell down the last time I was here. And this year I've been watching that corner very carefully.
But this is racing, the green light comes on, it's heads down and tails up. 29 laps of the Monterey circuit, John Kocinski going into the lead. Kocinski Barros isn't close enough to be a threat. Cadalora has moved up to 3rd, Kevin Schwantz is 4th. It's BT, Ito and Crivellet and then Mackenzie, but listen to the crowd cheering. This is what they want. This is what they came to see. This is what Cagiva have waited almost 13 years to see. A dry weather win against the best of them. A tremendous, mature and considered ride from John Kocinski, who wins his 3rd 500 Grand Prix, his first for Cagiva on his 3rd outing for them. And no wonder he is happy. No wonder the Cagiva team is happy. But here is the happiest man at Laguna Seca on this sunny Sunday afternoon. John Kocinski, the mercurial, brash young American who fell out with Lucky Strike Suzuki midway through this season and was picked up by Agostini and taken to victory in America. And yet again, John Kocinski out-qualified everybody. His margin over 2nd quickest Barros was almost half a second, making it look easy, but Kocinski was under no illusions about an easy race. Oh, and that's Kocinski out of it as well. Shinichi Ito has fallen. John Kocinski has fallen with him and is now fighting the marshals for possession of his bike. He wants to get back into this race and the marshals now are trying to help him. But John Kocinski looks like a man whose race is over. Here's Kocinski riding into the pits. And it looks as though that bike has been damaged badly enough for him to realise that he can't rejoin, even though he wanted to. And he thought the marshals were trying to stop him. Kocinski pushing them away and getting into a little bit of a fracas there. Not quite fisticuffs, but certainly very agitated indeed. He just wants to get on with the race while they were trying to push the bike clear and to safety. But an unlucky weekend for Kocinski, and not his fault either. No blame attaches to him. The man of the moment at Eastern Creek was John Kocinski. 1:30.39 was the pole time, the fastest ever lap of Eastern Creek. And though he was clearly working at it, Kocinski made it look as though he was well within limits most of the time. No one expected that Sunday's race would be run at the same frantic pace. Waiting for the green light then. Kocinski on pole, Kevin Schwantz, the reigning champion, the other end of the row. But remember that injured left arm. Schwantz may well not have the stamina to make it last all the way until the end of 30 laps, but he gets a good start. Cadalora gets away and Kocinski blasts them. slackened off the pace slightly in the closing laps, but not very much, and he really has maintained a fairly high rate of knots from start to finish, and he has led this race from start to finish as well. Kocinski grabbed the lead going into turn one. Nobody has got close to him since then, and nobody's going to now, because he can almost look ahead down the hill and see that checkered flag. Kocinski mixing it with Sean Emmett and the rest of the back markers as he comes down the hill. And there is the first checkered flag of the year for John Kocinski, but almost certainly not the last. But what a result from this man, John Kocinski. What a result for Cagiva. Good start to the year too for Luca Cadalora, and not a bad start to the year either for Michael Doohan. But this result really doesn't tell us anything about the shape of the year to come and the outcome of this year's World Championship. But certainly John Kocinski is going to be a man worth watching. Almost alone in the 500 pit lane, Cagiva seemed to be running trouble-free. On a circuit he liked and has won on before, John Kocinski had little apparent difficulty in nailing pole position by a tenth, and last year's pole by 4/10, surprising no one in the process. Italians think that 13 is a lucky number, even though everyone else in the world knows it's bad news. And we were all proved right, as Cagiva were given box 13 in the pits, and their spectacular success story was pulled up short as John Kocinski ran himself ragged trying to qualify better than 9th. Saturday's rain made sure he didn't, but JK's new for 94 Calm seemed undented. After a slight hiccup in Japan, the Cagiva programme was once again running to script, and John Kocinski was one of those who'd suddenly upped the stakes as the end of qualifying drew near. He'd banged a pretty red machine between Doohan and pole, but that was down to one of JK's on-the-limit laps. The bike wasn't as quick or as comfortable as it had been testing here, and no one knew why. John was using the anti-dive system Doug Chandler had run since the start of the year, but his problems really couldn't be that simple. Horsepower track, as expected, John Kocinski was only 6th quickest, the only being a tribute to his undoubted prowess. John Kocinski getting into the battle now. He's left it a little bit late as well. Doohan's gone, Swanson, Crivellé are gone in front of him. He's through, so he's up to 4th, ahead of Puge. And that is Shinichi Ito, number 7. And John Kocinski on the Cagiva, trying to get away from Puge and get up with the man ahead of him. He wants a rostrum finish, really, out of this weekend, if he can get it. It wasn't the weather that caught out John Kocinski. Level pegging the Suzuki's on top speed, but out-qualified by them on the timesheets. Kocinski was trying to make up time in the stadium when his flamboyant curve-jumping style went badly wrong, throwing bike and rider sideways in mid-air and landing very, very hard. The right-hand turn is the exit from the front straight out into the forest and the start of the high-speed dash towards the chicane, half a mile away. A fast exit with the power on early helps to make speed and save time, and all of the riders were using all of the road and at least some of the curb. This time around, the suspension flexed a little too much, the bike jumped a little too high, and once it started to turn in mid-air, it was beyond saving. It was clear that Kocinski was hurt, but no one knew how badly until he came out of the medical centre with his broken hand in bandages. But this is Alberto Puig, has stepped up his pace. Oh, and Kocinski goes straight on. Chandler goes past him. John Kocinski goes straight on at the right-hander. Pretty much outbraked himself. He hasn't come to grief, but he's got to get off the Cagiva. He's losing so much time, is John Kocinski, getting that machine turned around and back to the racetrack. Well, he'd been dropping back through the field, and then he started to come forward again. And that is John Kocinski, who has obviously gone off and is walking away from it. And there's Doug Chandler pulling it into the pits. Chandler retires, Kocinski retires in the gravel trap, and the Cagiva attack at Mugello is over within seconds. It's worse here at Mugello?
Yeah, because we're in Italy and we expect to have a good race here. And both rider in the good position, and John catch and Doug also catch Schwanz. Anyway, we must think of next time.
It's only 5th fastest. It was clear that, like Italy, we were no longer looking at your standard 1994 front row. All else aside, the Texans' place was occupied by Cagiva's John Kocinski, making a return to row 1 after a 4-race absence, getting on terms with the fast men for the first time since round 4 in Jerez 2 months earlier. Full race distance, 27 laps of the Bugatti circuit. John Kocinski again on the front row, and that's Agostini, the encouraging word before they go. Well, he looks okay, and perhaps just getting precautionary medical attention. Kocinski getting the attention of Alberto Puig by overtaking him for 2nd place, while Doohan gets away at the front. A trot. John Kocinski gets back on the podium to take 2nd place. The good luck this weekend was all with the team regulars. 2/10 quicker than Chandler, Kocinski claimed another front row starting slot and said he was happy that he had a good setup for the race. Outings, John Kocinski seems to be back on form, or at least riding the Cagiva hard once more. The bike goes well when Kocinski thrashes it, but he hasn't done much of that since the big fall at Hockenheim dented his confidence. A margin of 71 points, and he's going to wrap it up this weekend. The battles go on behind him, John Kocinski and Alex Cribillé. And Kocinski really is hammering that Cagiva. He is a joy to watch when he's like that, but it just hasn't got the horsepower that the Hondas can deliver. But Kocinski's making up for it with sheer style and bravado. And it truly is magnificent to see him do it. He said himself, though, that he didn't want to do this for a whole season. He didn't want to ride a Cagiva in 1994 if he had to ride it as hard as he rode it in Laguna Seca to win the American Grand Prix this year. And it's quite clear that on the occasions that Kocinski has done well this season, it is simply because he's thrashed the wheels off the bike. Winner of this race last year and of the opening round in Australia this year, John Kocinski has only flirted with the success so many people expected of him, but he's always in a determined mood racing on home ground. He's out of the American Grand Prix. Kocinski is closing with Doohan now, and Cadalora is getting away. So that assessment earlier on pretty much correct. Doohan in trouble, Cadalora making the break, and Kocinski looking for 2nd place. Oh, and through he comes. Well, he didn't wait for McDoohan to run wide there and give him the room. Take the checkered flag. John Kocinski couldn't pull off a repeat win, is 2nd at Laguna Seca, but it's clear of the opposition after final qualifying. John Kocinski was again the subdued, almost withdrawn individual we've encountered more and more often this year as he tries to conserve all his bad boy energy for racing. And Chandler on the inside. Late breaks, John Kocinski, Doug Chandler leads the Argentine Grand Prix, and Michael Doohan's going through with him. Doohan, oh, so close. Doohan tried to follow through on Chandler's pass and piggyback into 2nd place. Didn't quite happen for him. Good move, good opportunism, but Kocinski was just a little bit too far in front. Chandler leads. It's still Cagiva, 1st and 2nd. Kocinski got something a little bit wrong there as Chandler went through, and that's let him fall back into Doohan's clutches. He's fighting off Doohan now, though. Head down behind the bubble, he's alongside John Kocinski. It's a matter of brakes, and Doohan braking with his thumb, remember, to operate the back brake, and using the right brake in the normal fashion, goes through, wins it. Look back down the racetrack, Doug Chandler coming home 2nd. Returns to the podium for the first time since 1992, to the delight of the team. And behind him in 3rd place, his teammate John Kocinski. He qualified the Cagiva 3rd fastest, but there was an unhappy air hanging over him and the team, as if this was not only the end of the season, but also the end of what should have been a beautiful friendship, but wasn't. Kocinski has ridden himself ragged all season on the Cagiva and finally seems to have given all he'd got to give. Occasions, but they have been often enough to put him in a position to be 2nd in the World Championship as Kocinski and Cribillé carry on the battle, and the Spanish fans are cheering. They're not cheering Kocinski though, they're cheering on Alex Cribillé, telling him to get on and get on the podium. They don't want an American on the podium in 3rd place if they can have a Catalan. Kocinski still working at it. And the real question here is when they come out of the last turn, the last right-hander, and gas it up on the run to the flag, will Crivellet be able to get the drive down early enough and hard enough to go past John Kocinski? He wants to be right behind him going into that turn, and he is staying hard on Kocinski's tail. That is Ito. Shinichi Ito has dropped it in the gravel as Crivellet sticks it up the inside of John Kocinski. Oh, and they touch! Crivellet out of the seat, feet off the pegs. Kocinski gets away with it. 25 points to go second in the championship. Michael Doohan narrowly misses out on win number 10. Kocinski is on the rostrum. John Kocinski third, Michael Doohan second, and top of the rostrum, top of the world this weekend, Luca Cadalora wins the Pepsi Cola Grand Prix of Europe.